Just moments ago, big news breaking from the Supreme Court. They will weigh in on President Obama's plan to shield roughly 5 million illegal immigrants from deportation. The AP reporting that they will consider this. They will hear the case in April, according to this, and there's a decision expected to come down in June. Now, remember that the president basically claimed that he had prosecutorial discretion over immigration cases, but many argued that doing that collectively for 5 million people was not constitutional. He did all of this by executive action, but now the U.S. Supreme Court will decide whether or not that executive order is indeed constitutional, and this comes in the middle of an election year where immigration is one of the most heated issues that is on the docket for voters to decide. So with that as a backdrop, we go over to Bill and Senator Lindsey Graham.
Thank you, Martha. South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham here on This Now, and good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
What's the court do?
I think they strike it down. I've been a prosecutor. There's one thing you can do as a prosecutor. If you got 100 cases, you can say, you know, I'm going to defer these because they're lower. I'm going to focus on the things that are more serious. That's called prosecutorial discretion. Here's what the president did. He took people, millions of them, and gave them legal status, not deferring their prosecution. That's not prosecutorial discretion. That's acting as if you were a legislative body. Does that make sense?
Kinda.
It's one thing to say, I'm not going to prosecute these 10 people because they're small crimes. What the president did is gave legal status to people who are pending charges. It's one thing not to prosecute. It's another thing to say, you're now legal. He can't do that.
I'm looking the makeup of the court. I don't know what they do. I mean, is there another 5-4 ruling here?
Lunch. No, I think it's 6-3.
Based on?
If this is prosecutorial discretion, where does it end? Can a prosecutor say you're innocent and say, I mean, give you legal status? They're here illegally. They broke the law. The question is, do I prosecute them? You can defer prosecution. That's within your purview. But you can't just say, now you're legal.
This goes to executive order. And you've got
to executive power, yes.
Executive power, yeah. But you've got a lot of issues with that. And there's a suggestion that he would close Gitmo, too, in the next 12 months. And those in Congress argue you can't do that because by law, you cannot transfer detainees to the United States.
He cannot.
But you can take these detainees and put them in other countries. Would that then be legal?
Yeah, there's a certification process where the Secretary of Defense has to certify they don't represent a danger to our country. There are some countries we've taken off the transfer list. So you can't come to America under congressional dictates. You've limited the countries you can transfer them to with a certification requirement. There are 49 people that the Obama administration determined to be too dangerous to be released. 49, in their own words, are too dangerous to be released. If they try to move these people out of Gitmo, there'll be a constitutional crisis in this country.
Well, okay, so 34 detainees are set for transfer in the springtime, I do believe.
Yeah,
or early summer. That's the next group or the next batch. Do you believe before January of 2017 that Gitmo will be empty?
No, because 49 have been determined by the Obama administration to be enemy combatants that represent
It doesn't seem to have mattered before this point.
These 34 were deemed by review boards no longer to be a threat. There's 49 that are a threat. I think the 34 are a threat, but there's 49 in their own words should not be released. So where do they go? They're not coming to the United States. You're not going to send these people to a third country because I can't think of a third country that would take them. If you tried to send them to a third country, I think you'd have the Congress weighing in a bipartisan fashion. Where does Hillary Clinton come out on this? Hillary, do you agree that we should empty that jail? It's one thing to close Gitmo. It's another thing to let everybody out of the jail. Bringing the prisoners to the United States is one exercise. Letting everybody go is another. He's emptying the jail. He's not closing Gitmo. Big difference.
On Friday, I do believe we saw you in South Carolina.
Yes, you did.
Your home state. And you came out saying that you are a Jeb Bush guy.
Yeah.
And you said today he's the only one who will beat Hillary Clinton.
I think he's got the best chance to beat her. I think she is eminently beatable. She's very dishonest in the eyes of the American people. She's got more bags than any politician should ever be allowed to carry, but she would beat crazy. As long as we don't nominate somebody who, in the eyes of the American people, is kind of out there, we win. But Jeb, why did I go to Jeb? National security was the centerpiece of my campaign for president. Of all the people I've looked at, he's most qualified, in my view, to be commander-in-chief on day one. He understands the war, and he's got a plan to win it. That's why I'm with him, because he'll take care of the 1% who've been doing all the fighting for the rest of us.
That may be all true. It is also true that he's mired in single digits.
That doesn't matter.
Why?
You got to go Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina. I believe that we'll turn South Carolina into a referendum on who's best qualified to be commander-in-chief on day one and who has the skill set to bring this country together. When you look at Trump through those eyes, I think he falls way short. Ted Cruz has been the most divisive figure I've ever seen in the United States Senate. I don't think he can bring us together. His foreign policy is all over the board. I think Jeb, in South Carolina, President George W. Bush is very popular. In South Carolina, we elect the most conservative person who can win the election. I don't think Trump or Cruz can beat her. I think Jeb can, and when it comes to commander-in-chief, we're going to make him the most qualified because he is.
I believe you just said Hillary Clinton is dishonest.
Yes.
And someone else could be crazy.
Yeah, dishonest speech.
Who's crazy?
I think Donald Trump's all over the board crazy. I think you're crazy if you think you're going to deport American-born citizen children of illegal immigrants. I think that's just demagoguery. I think it's crazy to lump every Muslim in the world into one pot. You know, when he pushed back against Ted Cruz about the people of New York City, he was right to do so. Donald, do some self-evaluation. If you thought it was wrong for Ted to put everybody in the same boat in New York, why are you doing it with illegal immigrants? Most of them are not rapists and drug dealers. Why do you treat every Muslim the same? We need allies in the Muslim world. You've done the one thing our enemy relishes. You've declared war on the faith. So, yeah, I think his ideas are crazy.
Senator, why is he leading in Iowa? Why is he up 30 points in New Hampshire? Why are there suggestions today that he'll win South Carolina, your state, that he'll win Florida, that large parts of the Southeast are already in Trump's pocket?
He's playing to people's fears, and when he says we're going to build a wall and we're going to deport all the illegal immigrants, including their children, some people buy into that. When we say we're going to ban all Muslims, there's a fear of the religion. He's playing into people's fears. We're not going to win the White House scaring the hell out of everybody. Jeb Bush has got a plan to defend this nation. He understands you've got to partner with people in the faith. You want to beat radical Islam, you better join with people over there who reject radical Islam within the Islamic faith. When you declare war on the faith, you make it hard to get allies. The one thing Donald Trump should not do is ever declare war on every Muslim, because the only way we win this war is partner with people in the faith who reject radical Islam, and that's 99% of them.
You know, I think for a lot of Republican voters, you had a critical line in the debate in Cleveland back in August. You said, you want to see a war on women, come with me to Iraq and Afghanistan.
Hillary,
I'll show you a war on women.
It ain't here, pal. It's over there.
Thank you for your time. Lindsey Graham from South
Carolina.
You bet.
Thank you, Martha.